Stewie had finally completed it, his latest invention. A machine to travel to an alternate dimension, or rather, a parallel universe. One that was similar to their own, but different, and there were an infinite number of parallel universes. That was what Stewie explained to Brian. Stewie told him that there was probably a universe out there that was similar to theirs in the exact same way, the same exact history, except with one less mosquito than their world. Stewie then told Brian that there were also universes that were radically different, where the Nazis had won World War II, where the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima were never dropped, one where the Russians landed on the moon first, one where religion was never invented, and even one where humanity never evolved. This made Brian and Stewie want to explore the parallel universes, and that's exactly what they did. They went from one universe to the other, exploring each one, seeing what was different, seeing how history had played out differently, and seeing how society was different as a whole. That was, however, until they got stuck in one specific universe. Brian and Stewie had just left a universe where rock and roll was never invented, and when they landed in the next one, they were shocked. It was nothing but a wasteland. It was as if everything had been destroyed. Stewie then theorized that this universe divulged and ended in nuclear war, that humanity had wiped themselves out, and it was most likely that there wasn't a single human alive in this reality. Brian suggested that they should probably leave, and Stewie agreed with him. Stewie had re-engineered his time return pad to be the device that they used to travel in between dimensions. When Stewie brought it out of his backpack, Brian and him both jumped onto it, and when Stewie used the controller that would allow them to travel to another dimension, it didn't work. Brian then rhetorically asked, are we supposed to be in a new place? What, are the batteries dead? Stewie then looked shocked, and he said that it didn't run on batteries. It was supposed to be an everlasting source, that it would never stop working. Brian just laughed it off, saying that they could just fix it. Stewie reluctantly agreed. They got off, and Stewie then took a look at the machine. After a few hours, Brian was just sitting on the ground and then asked Stewie, "Are you done yet?" Stewie then looked at Brian with a grim expression. Stewie told Brian that there was no way he could fix the machine, and that they were stuck in this reality, this wasteland. That's when Stewie and Brian noticed something off. They both felt really sick. That's when Stewie told Brian that since they were in a nuclear wasteland, everything around them was radioactive. Brian looked at Stewie shocked, and they both looked around to see if they could find any place for shelter, but it was nothing. It was just destruction everywhere they looked. It was as if they were in a sea of death. Stewie then hypothesized that they would both be dead in a few hours from radiation poisoning. Brian didn't want to accept it. Sure, he was 8, but he still had a few good years left. He could have lived to be the age of 14 or maybe 15. Stewie was just a kid. He should have lived for decades. Brian didn't want to accept it, but he knew there was nothing they could do. So, Stewie and Brian sat on the ground with grim expressions on their face, not saying a word to each other. And with that, they both accepted the harsh reality, and that in a few hours, they would both be dead.